Hi guys, how you going? Campbell here from Autodidactic channel. Hope you're having a wonderful day, a day filled with wonder. And of course, wonder is an awesome thing because wonder makes us question and want to find answers. And we need to find answers and be self-educated, guys, because if we're not, then the only choice we have left is to believe what we are told. And I wanted to talk a bit today about the Bronx in New York and basically the Bronx in the 1970s and what went on there. So when I was young, there was a lot of dystopian sort of movies, these kind of like Mad Max kind of movies, and one that stuck out, one that was pretty big, was The Warriors. 1979 it was released, and it was about this gang in the Bronx, and it always sort of stuck in my mind because they were just in this weird sort of place, you know. It didn't seem like a real place, it was just like a war zone. And of course, you know, fast forward 30 years or so, and I find out that the Bronx was a war zone in the 1970s. So let's have a look at what went down. Okay, so something that sort of triggered this thought in my head was a video from Stuffed Beagle channel. And as you can see, Stuffed Beagle needs more subscribers, guys. So jump over, subscribe, like, hit the bell, comment, because there's heaps of good content here, as you can see. And it's just not getting the views it needs. So come and have a look, share this information. Let's get some more subscribers to this information. And what set me off on this thought was this video, Joker's Stair Flood. And this is the stairs apparently used in the Joker's, the Batman movie with the Joker with Heath Ledger in it. And in this video, Stuffed Beagle says that they live in the area, and they went around and had a look at the areas around this staircase, and it sort of blew my mind. I mean, the kind of stuff here, like, look, all mud flooded, and all big old stone buildings. Like, look at this, and the whole place is just old world buildings, and this is in the Bronx. I mean, look at this stuff, look at the brickwork. It's just, and look at this, all filled in, of course. And it's just ridiculous what's around here. So I'll leave the link to this video and to the channel below. So have a look, you know, here we go, door down here, door up here. It's just mud flood city, but the buildings are just huge, just big, like these big stone buildings, you know, the mud flood evidence, like, it's just completely filled out. And we'll get into some photos of the set. So this is what's left, and obviously a lot of this has been renovated, which is what they like to do, right? There you go, look at that one. They renovate buildings, so they destroy them. If they don't have control of them, they just destroy the community, and everyone abandons them, and they get destroyed and burnt and stuff, and then they just go in and renovate them. Like, basically they just take them over and rebuild them and resell them to people. How is that one? There you go. So yeah, this is the Bronx. It's full. Couldn't quite believe it. So this is Death, Destruction and Debt, 41 Photos of Life in the 1970s New York. And it says, reeling from a decade of social turmoil, New York in the 1970s fell into a deep tailspin provoked by the flight of the middle class to suburbs and a nationwide economic recession that hit New York's industrial sector especially hard. And that's all to do with oil. The 1970s oil crisis, which of course was completely manufactured, wasn't true. It was manufactured to do things like this, to destroy communities so they could go in and steal everything. In just 5 years, from 1969 to 1974, the city lost over 500,000 manufacturing jobs. So there's obviously another story behind that. You know, 100,000 jobs a year. There's, I don't know, that just sort of makes me think, what, were they changing technologies or something? Don't know. But let's have a look at a couple of the photos. This is President Ford telling the city to drop dead and he won't bail them out. In New York. Now, these are the kind of photos you get from the 1970s in the Bronx. And it's just complete destruction. I mean, is that a door just up in the side of that building? And things like this. And this is like the kind of stuff you used to see in these movies back in the, you know, late 70s, early 80s, like The Warriors, and there was so many spin-offs to that. They all showed this kind of streetscape. Look at this, nice column here, but I mean, the whole place is just completely trashed, and they say it's, basically they say, you know, people moved out and there were lots of fires. Obviously, you know, this, you know, some hookers there. This has all been sort of installed. Obviously, alcohol, you know, got people passed out, peep shows, so that they go in and they put all this stuff into to really demoralize people. And they destroy communities. And you can see these are big old world buildings. Some more peep shows. And then it's just like pictures like this. Like, what was going on? This is a man-made canal. You can see remnants there of the bank. And you can just see how straight that is. Old world buildings in the background. Some poor guy. And this is just, you know, the kind of society that they brought up. You know, they destroy the jobs. They bring in alcohol. That helps to destroy families, and they bring in all the hookers and peep shows and stuff and promote violence and gangs, and you end up with this city. And all these kids are growing up in this environment, and look, it's just madness. It's like the photos we see today of the Middle East and other countries that have been destroyed normally by the US government. Here we see stairs going up, windows going into the ground. This one here has a fence around it, and it looks like that's actually excavated behind there. It looks like there's a bit of a gap. Okay, there you go, Dopey's death. Trying to help people out. And just all these kids growing up in this strange... Well, and this is the USA. There's a good photo. Look at these buildings. Just completely destroyed. And this is just a search, and I mean, look at this stuff. It's just a complete war zone. All the buildings just completely destroyed. And the story literally says that, you know, everyone lost their jobs and everything, and so basically landlords started leaving, so they were just leaving their buildings, I guess. And then lots of them caught on fire, of course. Here we have, I mean, you can see, look at the rubble, like up here, look at the level of this building, and looks like you can see the top of a window there. And then this one's way down here, and in the background, these are just destroyed. And this is what, I mean, it's just bizarre. Just this completely destroyed city, decade of fire. How the Bronx burned. Look at this. Oh, hang on, we've seen that one, I think. This one. What is going on? I mean, just look at the rubble on the ground here. And there is another video too. I'll find it and I'll leave it in the description. Where it's basically just someone driving through. It's like live footage from the 70s, and it just shows all this stuff. I mean, look at that. What I'm trying to find though is there's photos, and you see the tops of the buildings, and they've clearly been bombed. You know, it's not fire. Like the tops of the buildings are completely destroyed. Okay, so here are some of the photos I found. The one I was looking for I couldn't find. There's one, and you can see the top of a building just smashed. But I mean, look at this. You know what? That's not fire. What happened here? You can see this is big, you know, brick structure, and it's just the whole front's just destroyed. I have no idea what's going on here, but again, massive brick structure. You can see, you know, the amount of brick and stuff, the amount of rubble around it, and just all this wood on top of it. I mean, I have no idea what that is. This one too, I mean, look at this building. It's just this facade staying in the front wall. The rest is all over the ground. It's just flattened all these cars, and we've got this light post just bent and destroyed on the ground. There's smoke everywhere. And they just keep talking about fires, you know, there was all these fires. And I found this is also the Bronx in the 1970s, and I found this very interesting. Look at this wall. This is clearly a big stone wall, and these buildings up here are on a different level to these buildings down here. And people just cleaning up. Look at the amount of rubble. This, you know, this doesn't happen from fires. Fires burns this kind of stuff while it's in the buildings. And you know, there's all these pictures of the burnt buildings, you know, fire, decade of fire in the Bronx. And you get all these burnt out buildings everywhere, just pictures of fire. But fire doesn't, you know, leave rubble everywhere, does it? Look at that. I mean, what's going on there? All these blocks are cleared. We've got a completely burnt out building. These are all abandoned, and looks like they've just knocked half the city down and they're going to rebuild it. Really bizarre stuff. And again here you can just see the amount of rubble, not the best picture. Just rubble all over the streets and massive Tartarian old world buildings. Okay, steps up, windows into the ground. So, yeah, like I said, I'll leave the video below, but there's some really bizarre footage of the Bronx in the 1970s. And I just wanted to touch on some of the bridges in the Bronx as well. And this is... And I just wanted to touch on some of the bridges in the Bronx. And this is Hell Gate Bridge. It's actually the sister bridge to the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and it looks very similar. And they say here that it is a New York connecting railway bridge, the East River Arch Bridge, beginning of works 1912, finished 1916. So it was basically constructed right through World War One, when all the men were supposedly overseas dying and killing innocent people. Yeah, so that was popped up in 4 years while everyone was looking somewhere else, and it just gives you a bit of information about it. Of course, I think there's construction photos of the actual arch, but not of these stone pillars as far as I can find. Of course, there's no plans or anything. Now this is it. As you can see, it's very similar to the Sydney Harbour Bridge, these massive big stone footings. And this one, the road actually keeps going. It's really interesting. As you can see here, this is the bridge, and you can see this road is raised the whole way around. And here you can see big stone footings and pillars the whole way around. And it looks like this is a roadway, this is a railway. Looks like that is as well, the same. And it's just, I'm not sure what's underneath here. Is it got the river here? It just looks like vacant parkland or something. Pretty flat, so why is this all raised? I don't know, maybe, I mean, I don't think it floods. Just looking at all the construction over here, it doesn't look like they'd build that on a floodplain. So that's pretty interesting. As you can see in the background, looks like there's a few more bridges out there. Are they bridges? Don't know. But yeah, this is the Bronx, man. Obviously, I'm from Australia, so if you're in New York or New York State, this might be familiar to you, but I had no idea that there was this much, you know, this is an older photo. And this is interesting because this is, you can see this says Hellgate Bridge, and this one, the bridge, you can see it's stone the whole way across. Got an awesome tower in the background here. This is obviously early. Now there is, this is the roadway sort of in there, I think. But today, when you look at this bridge, see how that used to, I mean, this may be a different bit, but it looks like they've added, I found a photo, it looks like, oh, there's a construction photo, apparently. And as you can see, these footings are already there. So did they just reconstruct that? I'm not sure, but all this, you know, all these train bridges and that just go for miles, I mean, it just is unnecessary. Here we go. Randall's New York Island Connector. Let's have a look. Okay, so once again, what we are looking at here is completely finished support systems. Whatever they're building, they're completely finished. Every single one of them. They've just got scaffolding on them. I look at them, they're all the same height. I'm not sure what this is in the background, all this wire stuff. But that's complete, like that's, and this is what we get all the time, you know, construction photos, and these are completed structures with just scaffolding and stuff put around and a bit of material. So, you know, what are they doing? Refacing them? I'm not sure, but that's, you know, show me one, show me one where it's only built to here. They just don't seem to exist. And so we get this silly story of construction photos. Hellgate Bridge, they built this one upside down. Now you see this in the raised tracks. They have these upside down for strength, I guess. And this, let's have a look. These completely, you know, done. And this looks like they're constructing. I can't see if that's non-completed. I mean, it's a bit vanilla skied, isn't it? Sort of around there. It's hard to see. But I mean, is this a construction photo? Maybe it is. But then the question, and so this is supposed to be 1912 to 1916. You know, I don't know. It's a lot of work to do, isn't it? Because this is the other thing they talk about. You know, they build this bridge, but they don't talk about who built this. And I mean, this is telling now. Is this? So here we go, planned pedestrian and bike path under the Hell's Gate Bridge. Now just look at the symmetry there. Let's see, can we get a bigger photo? Look at this. Look at that symmetry. It's on a curve, you can see obviously, but look, you can see that. You can see this shadow, a perfect line down there. Okay, you cannot tell me that they built this, the US government built all these perfectly and just perfectly symmetrical. That's not what they do these days. It's all about, you know, whack it up as cheap as you can. They're not interested in this kind of stuff. So there's many questions about these bridges and these, you know, these raised, what are they, train tracks and carways and stuff, because why are they raised? I know this is water here, but why raise it all the way? I mean, that's a lot of work and a lot of money. Why wouldn't you just go down on the ground, across, and then another bridge? So lots of questions about what was going on in the Bronx, and it also, they used to have outdoor baths there. Here we go, pools, huge. You see, that's one full of people. Here's another one here. Big steps, big, what looks like old world structures everywhere. Bridge is done here. Don't know what this big thing is. Some kind of fountain maybe, but look at the site. I mean, is that coming out of here? It's hard to see, but I mean, look how small the people are compared to all these structures as well. Here's another supposed construction photo, and as you can see, this is completed. You know, they've just put some bricks in, put a few bits and pieces, chucked their wood in this existing arch by the looks of it. And, you know, it's not half built there. There's no half built pictures. And I mean, and that again, look at the framing there. It's straight across in perfect symmetry. I mean, you'd want it to be pretty, you know, pretty in line if you're building a bridge. But it's just, you know, the stories they give us just don't really make sense. They don't really have construction photos. And I mean, just look at this. This is such typical old world construction. And look at this thing. It goes all the way around with these massive stone pillars, supports. I don't know, was this thing just bolted on there, or was there an old one that fell over and they just rebuilt it? So many questions, many questions. This one too, this is, they just say it's part of the Hell's Gate thing. I'm not sure if it's part of, you know, what they used to use as the pulls and that, but again, it's just old world structures, you know, all symmetrical, arched windows, huge blocks. Here again we have lots of people posing for a photo. This is all completely finished in the background. They're saying they're building this. We've got another little one up here. And as you can see with this is finished and there, so up to above the windows. And it looks like all that's really been added is maybe this little top bit. Because this is the thing, you know, where's the construction photos of all this? I mean, this would have been a massive project. And that's the thing about all these huge projects. They're all, you know, these big landmark type things, but no one records how they were constructed or gives you plans or proper construction photos. Let's get these things where it's pretty much done. So this just doesn't add up. And this is what's been going. See, history is his story, guys. It's not our story. And the whole thing's a play. It's just made up. Literally, they've come in, and in America, and it happened all over the world, you know, what's it called? The era of exploration, where they all went out in their boats, met with their maritime law, and basically just took over countries. And what it looks like with all countries, especially America at the moment, with what I'm looking at, is it was a completely built out, fully functioning, you know, it looks like a lot of this stuff was being used. There were definitely societies there, higher societies, you know, and I'm not sure. It looks like it was a takeover, a bit of war, but also it looks like they just sort of moved in with their law and their legalese and just changed the whole story, because it just doesn't add up, does it? Anyway, I'm going to leave it there, guys. Something for you to ponder on. Hope you enjoyed that one. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you want to support this channel, there are links below. Grab yourself an autodidactic t-shirt and let the world know that his story is not our story. Alright, have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you on the next upload. Bye for now.